Hey guys, happy Tuesday. I'm here to go over week 18 warm up with you. And as always, we have 3 problems. So let's get started. First one, Jolly and Holly are hanging ornaments on the tree. The ratio of silver bells to candy canes is 5 to 12. If they hung 40 silver bells, how many candy canes did they hang? Okay, so we've got silver to candy canes. And the starting ratio was 5 to 12. And then they gave us the first part of the second ratio. The first part was 40 silver bells. But we don't know this guy right here. We don't know how many candy canes we would have if we had 40 silver bells. So we have to figure out how we got from 5 to 40. From 5 to 40, you would multiply times 8. So that means multiply 12 times 8. Okay? So a little side math because my brain hurts today. 8 times 2 is 16, carry 1, 9. There we go. So we would have 96 candy canes. Remember, just put in the 96, okay? All right, so then we get to number 2. Mrs. Rodriguez, hello, has 5 days to wrap all of her Christmas presents. She plans to spend 3/5 of an hour for the next 5 evenings wrapping her presents. How much total time will Mrs. Rodriguez spend wrapping? Okay, so if I spend 3/5 of an hour wrapping, then I will do that 5 times. Remember, if I multiply by 5, I put it over 1. Then I simplify, right, before I multiply. Multiply straight across, and I get 3 over 1, which is really 3. And what that 3 represents is, remember, this was 3/5 of an hour. So if I had 3/5 of an hour plus 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 3/5 of an hour, I would have 3 hours. So it's 3 hours, but you're just going to put in the 3, okay? All right, and the last one. Kiera is driving with her family to visit friends for the holidays. Her father drives the 956.4 miles in 15.9 hours. Whew, how fast was he driving? Round your answer to the nearest 10th. Okay, so essentially what you have to do is you have to take 956.4 and divide it by 15.9. Now remember something, we discussed this. If there's a decimal knocking at your door, you cannot let it in. You have to get rid of the decimal, all right? So you're going to move it over 1 time, which will change this, because if you move it outside the house, you have to move it inside to this. All right, so I'm going to rewrite that just to make it more neat for myself. 159. And I'm dividing that into 9,564. And remember, my decimal's now here, so I'm going to put my decimal up there. Okay? Now I have to do a little kind of side math because I don't know my 159 times tables. Do you guys know that? I don't know them. So I'm going to use my common sense and I'm going to say, well, 159, that's like almost 160. So if I were multiplying 160 times, let's say 6, I bet you I'd be kind of close. All right. So let's try 159. This is guess and check now, right? Times 6. Remember, guess and check is our friend sometimes. So 9 times 6 is 54. 6 times 5 is 30 plus 5 is 35. Carry 3. And 6 times 1 is 6 plus 3 is 9. Ah, well, look at that. 954 is pretty darn close, isn't it? So I subtract it. It's going to leave me, oh, sorry, I forgot to put my 6 up there. It's going to leave me with 2. Now I'm going to bring down my 4. And I cannot divide 159 into 240, can I? So I'm going to put a 0. And then I'm going to add a 0 and bring it down. Okay, now I can divide 159 into 240. And when I do that, it's 1. And then I have to remember that this is subtraction, so that's going to leave me with 81. Okay, well, now I've got to bring down another 0 because I'm still not done. I have stuff here, right? Okay, so now I have 810. Well, remember, before we did 6 times 159 gave me 954. So let's try 5. 159 times 5. 5 times 9 is 45. 5 times 5 is 25 plus 4 is 29. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 2 is 7. And that works perfectly, 795. Okay, well now I've got to subtract. That is going to give me 15. Oops, I forgot to put my 5 up here. Okay, remember that this said to round to the nearest tenth. So this position right here is the 10th position. And we now have the 100th position, right? And so I have to use my 100th to do the rounding, don't I? So remember, if it's 4 or below, you let it go. You just drop it. But if it's 5 or above, you give it a shove to the next number. You give this number a shove to the next number. So that means it's 60.2. And that's your answer. Alrighty, guys, that is this week's warm-up. I think it's a fairly easy one, lots of review. Remember, we have to keep reviewing all of those concepts that we learned. Get to work and get 100 on Friday. Bye, guys.